Hello, good evening and welcome to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, coming to you live from our studio here at Adesanwe Kanda in Accra. Coming up this evening, Attorney General freezes assets of former Buffer Stock CEO over 40 million Ghana cedi alleged loot as government intensifies asset recovery efforts under the Operation Recover or Loot project, which is oral. We have details for you in a moment. Also coming up, anti-LGBTQ bill takes the center stage in Parliament as minority accuses government of stalling the bill's passage. And later tonight, Chief of Kade Osabarima Ajari Tenedu abdicates under strange circumstances. We will tell you exactly what the real issues are, why the chief has decided to disappear. We have details of all of these and more, including sports and business, coming up for the next 1 hour. Before that, though, let's bring you the news summaries with Christabel Success. Trevor, hello.
Hi, Martin. President John Dramani Mahama has assured Ghanaians that the newly launched Ghana Infrastructure Plan will help eliminate the long-standing challenge of abandoned projects by ensuring continuity across successive government. Speaking at the launch in Accra on October 2022, President Mahama noted that the initiative is aimed at promoting efficiency, accountability, and the prudent use of public resources. The former Chief Executive Officer of the National Food and Buffer Stock Company, Abdul Wahab Hanan Aludiba, has publicly refuted the allegations leveled against him by the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayine, during a press engagement. Today, the Attorney General had placed Mr. Aludiba at the center of a major corruption scandal, detailing the alleged acquisition of 6 high-value properties using proceeds of crime from his tenure at NAFCO. Shortly after the Attorney General's press briefing, Mr. Abdul Wahab posted a statement on social media platform categorically denying the claims. The sudden disappearance of the controversial anti-LGBTQ plus bill from Parliament's order paper has sparked strong reactions from members of the minority who are demanding immediate answers from the government and parliamentary leadership. Now, Habib Idrisu, who is a member of the minority, expressed concern on the floor of Parliament. Now, he's describing the situation as a serious matter. Finally, the Mortuaries and Funeral Facilities Agency has issued a directive to all unlicensed mortuaries and funeral facilities, both public and private, to regularize the operations within 1 week from the date of its notice. In a statement, the agency expressed concern over the continued operations of several mortuaries and funeral facilities without the requisite licenses, in violation of Section 55 of the Health Institutions and Facilities Act 2011, Act 829. That'll be it for the summaries on 3FM 92.7. Martin, over to you.
Thank you very much. Let's delve into the details of our stories for this evening. And the Attorney General earlier today spoke to the nation and gave updates on what exactly they have been up to in terms of their investigations. And I'm going to read for you portions of what exactly the Attorney General has been saying, and also play excerpts of that government accountability series where he took his turn today to speak to the nation regarding investigations they've been undertaking over the last few months. And you'd recall that before this current administration came into power, they had promised that they were going to be very ruthless when it comes to issues of corruption and corruption-related matters. So we are going to delve into the specifics of what exactly the Attorney General has been up to. So, the Attorney General has frozen all assets believed to have been acquired through illegal proceeds linked to former Buffer Stock CEO Abdul Hanan Wahab. The move follows investigations into what the AG calls a criminal syndicate allegedly run by the former Akufo-Addo appointee. Preliminary findings suggest that over 40 million Ghana cedis may have been siphoned through fraudulent transactions during Mr. Wahab's tenure. Dr. Ayine, the Attorney General, revealed that Mr. Wahab and his wife allegedly acquired several high-value properties in Accra and Tamale, including a 5-bedroom house at Chain Homes worth $1.6 million, a cantonment residence valued at $600,000, and a 17-bedroom hotel in Tamale. Bank documents obtained by IOCO also show that the couple became major depositors at Republic Bank's Labone branch during the period in question. The revelations came during a briefing under the Government Accountability Series at the Jubilee House. Dr. Ayine also formally says that formal charges will be filed on Friday as prosecutors move to recover the alleged stolen funds. Let's listen to the Attorney General who spoke earlier today.
Buffer stock investigation, which are nicknamed the Rumble in the Jungle. As at March 2020, when we announced the arrest and detention of suspects Kobne Asiedu-Dartey and his wife Angela Ejie-Boateng, the Economic and Organized Crime Office had gathered credible intelligence regarding a criminal enterprise that had been operated by the former Chief Executive Officer of the National Food and Buffer Stock Company Limited, Mr. Hanan Abdul-Wahab. Initial estimates put the amount of money pilfered by Mr. Abdul-Wahab and his collaborators at the time at around 58 million Ghana cedis, far in excess of the 49 million suspected to have been stolen by Mr. Asiedu-Dartey and his co-accused persons. I call the criminal enterprise operated by Abdul-Wahab and his collaborators at Buffer Stock the Rumble in the Jungle, not only because of the huge amount of money at stake, but because of the fact that while food suppliers were wailing and gnashing their teeth due to failure to pay them for supplies to the buffer stock, and while our school kids were being denied nutrition under the school feeding program for lack of funds, Mr. Abdul-Wahab and his collaborators were busy lawlessly looting funds meant for the program. That is jungle behavior. The informal meaning of the word rumble is to discover illicit activity or the perpetrator of the illicit activity. Through painstaking investigations, the EOCO discovered this illicit criminal enterprise run by a gang of corrupt, lawless officials at the Buffer Stock Company. On June 25, 2025, the EOCO conducted a coordinated operation based upon their initial investigations, which resulted in the arrest of Mr. Abdul-Wahab, former chief executive of Buffer Stock, his wife Faiza Seydou Wuni, and then James Atieku, the Buffer Stock manager for the northern sector, who was based in Tamale. The operation also led to the arrest of Emmanuel Atta, head of corporate affairs of NAFCO. The arrest followed initial intelligence and assessment by EOCO, who suggested that while serving as CEO of Buffer Stock between 2017 and 2024, Mr. Abdul-Wahab colluded with his wife, Faiza Seydou Wuni, Richard Sam, head of finance, Bismarck Owusu Boache, finance department, and Emmanuel Atta, corporate affairs manager, and others to create an elaborate criminal enterprise that was used to steal and launder public funds from the Buffer Stock Company. Within the period between 2017 and 2024, Mr. Abdul-Wahab, in concert with Richard Sam Asante and Bismarck Owusu Boache, orchestrated a transfer of 78,269,084 Ghana cedis and 4 pesos from the bank accounts of Buffer Stock Company to a private company linked to Hanan Abdul-Wahab, his wife, and staff of Buffer Stock at Republic Bank and EcoBank. Evidence shows that the funds were instantly retransferred to companies owned by Abdul-Wahab himself, and companies and entities owned and associated with him and his wife.
Right, so that's what the Attorney General said regarding Abdul Hanan, who is said to be the former CEO of the Buffer Stock Company Limited, and mentioned a number of names that he believes through the investigations they've been able to confirm that they played a role in the many different transactions that took place, and what the Attorney General believes is state funds or monies released by the state to be used for specific purposes were siphoned or redirected into private accounts. And so it's one of the key issues that the Attorney General is investigating, and already, like we indicated, there has been a response from Mr. Abdul-Wahab Hanan, who says that he has also heard what the AG is saying and strongly disagrees, and that he has asked his lawyers to look into the matter and advise him accordingly. So whatever next move he makes, we'll definitely update you on it. But like we said in the preamble to the voice of the Attorney General, the coming Friday, which is the day after tomorrow, he will be going to court to file formal charges against the former CEO of the National Buffer Stock Company Limited. Let's stay on the Attorney General because he has also been announcing ongoing criminal investigations against JA Plant Pool, a subsidiary of the Jospon Group, over alleged financial irregularities in the District Road Improvement Program. Many of you will know it as DRIP. So under DRIP, there were these excavators and earth-moving machines that were imported into the country, and per what we know, these machines were supposed to be given to specific districts so that they can use it to help in the maintenance and improvement of road projects within every district. But the Attorney General is saying that based on their investigations, these machinery that were acquired and brought into the country were overpaid for by some individuals, and that investigations are ongoing. Let's listen to him.
In the case of DRIP, they were overpaid. That is, JA Plant Pool was overpaid by $2 million. The contract sum was 176 million United States of American dollars. On the face of the contract, that is the sum that was stated. When we examined the invoices of payments, it was $178 million that was paid. So right away, there was a difference of $2 million. So we asked that $2 million be paid back by JA Plant Pool. We also realized that 190 pieces of equipment were added and cleared without payment of tax. In other words, they were added to the list as if they were tax exempt. I asked the investigators to go back, look at the HS code, and for those of you, HS code is a harmonized code that the customs officers use to determine the classification and taxes applicable to goods. When they did the analysis following the HS code, it came out that 38.7 million Ghana cedis of taxes were evaded. So in respect of the two sums, that is the $2 million, JH Plant Pool has been asked, we have made a demand on them to pay that money. Then when it comes to the taxes, we have asked GRA, because under the tax laws, it is GRA that can make a demand for the payment of the taxes. So we've asked that GRA should make a demand for the 38.7 million. Now that is our investigators' assessment. GRA may come out with a different figure because they are the tax experts. So our investigators' figure may be confirmed or even adjusted upwards depending on what the GRA says. Now when it comes to the issue of over-invoicing, we noticed that they were over-invoiced by between, that is the equipment, the DRIP equipment were over-invoiced by between 100 to 300%. All right, so I give you an example. One piece of equipment which costs $40,000, the government paid $84,000 for that equipment. That is over 110%. And so we are now diligently looking through all the equipment, and you can imagine that the equipment for all the districts, there were, hundreds of pieces of equipment. So we are going through each one of them because we are looking at a criminal investigation. And in criminal law, charges must be specific. If you miss the element of specificity, your case will be thrown out. And that is why I keep urging Ghanaians to be patient, because we need diligent investigation so that when I send a case to court, we don't have any doubt that criminality has occurred.
Dr. Dominic Ayine is Ghana's Attorney General, and on the same podium, he touched also on issues of the National Service Secretariat scandal, which has gripped the nation. And we know two key individuals who are also being investigated for their role they played in some disappearance of some monies at the National Service Secretariat. So the Attorney General said that it has emerged that total amount of money stolen or lost to the state through the National Service scandal stands currently at 2.2 billion cedis, not the earlier amount that we all had heard about. So let's listen to the Attorney General on this.
So, ladies and gentlemen, prosecutions have commenced in the SkyTrain and National Service scandals. In the case of the latter, we have filed charges against the former Chief Executive, Executive Director, Osea Sibe-Ntwi, and his deputy, Gifty Owari. Charges are being prepared against the rest of the public officers and the so-called marketplace vendors. In all, we intend to file about 10 cases in the NSA scandal and will use some of the public officers and vendors as prosecution witnesses. Now, this is a strategy that is working very well for us, and we intend to continue to use that strategy. In a situation where there is a small criminal among big criminals, and the small criminal knows a lot, it is better as a matter of prosecutorial strategy to use a small criminal to get the information in order to be able to succeed, and that is what I'm doing. Also, I wish to announce that the Auditor General has conducted a forensic audit into the NSA, the National Service scandal, and the total amount of money stolen or illegally spent now stands at 2.2 billion. And not the 548 million that was uncovered by my investigators as at June 2025. And then, ladies and gentlemen, I have here a copy of the Auditor General's report. Again, painstaking investigation is very important in criminal matters. And so, based upon what the Auditor General has done, and this is a forensic audit, okay? Forensic audit means that they've gone beyond what ordinary, auditing would have done. And so, we are going to, based upon this, in some cases, change the charge, amend our charge sheets in order to bring fresh charges.
Dr. Dominic Akuritinga Ayine is Ghana's Attorney General. You heard him there. And like we told you, there have been varied reactions to today's presser, where he outlined a number of investigations that they are currently undertaking. So we have been joined by private legal practitioner Martin Asiedu-Dartey, who has joined us for a brief conversation on some of the revelations we've heard from the Attorney General today. Before we bring in Mr. Asiedu-Dartey, though, let me just give you snippets of the response that has been given by Abdul Wahab Hanan, who is the former CEO of the Buffer Stock Company. Now, he writes that my attention has been drawn to recent statements made by the Honorable Attorney General during a press engagement in which my name was mentioned in connection with allegations of corruption. I wish to state respectfully that these claims are untrue and do not reflect the fact of the matter. I have no involvement in the issue being referred to, and I find the comments deeply unfortunate. I have asked my legal representatives to review the situation and to advise on the appropriate steps to protect my reputation. I look forward to the opportunity to present my side and to have my day in court, where I am confident that the truth will be made clear. I remain fully committed to the principles of honesty, transparency, and integrity that have guided my work throughout my career. Abdul Wahab Hanan Aludiba. And so that's the statement he has also put out. Mr. Martin Asiedu, good evening, and thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Good evening, Evening.
Right. I'm sure you've heard the Attorney General espouse a number of key investigations they are undertaking. One that stood out for many has to do with the Buffer Stock CEO's properties he has acquired and the way monies are alleged to have been siphoned from the Buffer Stock Company account. The AG says his account has been frozen, or some of his assets have been frozen. So the question would be, from a legal standpoint, how does freezing someone's account help in recovering or investigating the supposed monies that have been allegedly stolen?
Okay, so what it does is from the word freeze, meaning that don't move anymore. Stay there. So if an account is frozen, then you are able to prevent further dissipation of the funds in the account. You see, because the account is frozen, so meaning the owner of the account is no longer able to conduct any transactions, is not able to withdraw or add monies, etc. So freezing is a very useful tool. It helps to prevent dissipation, like lawyers like the word dissipation, or let's say the taking away of the money.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
So that's why it does. So it's a very useful tool. That's how come, under the law, usually under IOCO law, OSC law, the heads of these institutions are allowed to even freeze, and FIC, even without going to court. So they freeze first. Some have 14 days, others 7 days. Yeah, between the days have mixed me up. But it's because if you went to court, by the time you go, filing in court will waste time, so to speak. In this context, yes. Then you go, the judge, after the judge is giving you the order, is the judge manually writes in a book in our court here. Then after the judge is done, before the typist will take it, a lot of the time, before you can get the order the same day, it will be a hellish battle. So in the wisdom of the lawmaker, these institutions, IOCO and OSC, their heads are able to freeze their accounts directly. Not only accounts, but also property. So if it's an account, that's easier. They just send it to the banks that, okay, this account is frozen until further notice. When I say further notice, maybe that's not the exact word.
Right.
But it's a very useful tool. All I'm commending is the fact that even the heads are able to freeze before they then take time to go to court. Yes. Then, so 7 days or the 14 days one, then you prepare and go to court to go and get an extension. That's a longer duration for freezing.
Okay.
So we cannot play with freezing an account at all. It's a very useful tool.
Right. And looking at the amounts that the Attorney General mentioned, for instance, he said that Mr. Wahab had purchased a 5-bedroom house at Chain Homes for $1.6 million. Residents at cantonments valued at $600,000, and also buying property in Tamale, 17-bedroom hotel, etc. Looking at how these monies have been expended, does the freezing order include some of these properties, or it largely would be on the accounts as he found out?
All of the properties, all. They were frozen some months ago. Yeah, so the 3-bedroom house, the 5, all those ones, yeah.
Okay.
They were frozen some months ago. At least I know at the time he was arrested. Yeah. That's when those things were in effect. So meaning that he can no longer sell those. He can't, dispose of those things for money, etc. Mortgage them. No.
Right.
No.
And
you see, let's also understand that it's not a confiscation, just for the avoidance of doubt. Please, it's not been confiscated. You cannot confiscate somebody's assets until, in this context, until after the criminal case has been gone into and he's been found guilty. Yes.
Okay.
So it's not a confiscation. It's just freezing. That's stop.
Okay.
Stop for us to go in and finish the case. Then we'll know whether you can continue using your asset or it will go to the state.
Okay. And does the freeze order, so we know that he has given specific orders, and in his presentation, he mentioned that Mr. Wahab had been arrested. You also just gave indications that you are aware of when he was arrested. But in the statement reacting to the Attorney General, he says that he more or less is saying he had no knowledge of what the Attorney General was talking about, and is acting quite surprised. In fact, saying his lawyers will look into what the AG has said and advise him accordingly. What do you make of his statement of denial in involvement of all these allegations leveled against him?
Yeah, so there you will find that the way he crafted the letter, some of these things. So let me just put it this way. It beggars belief. Because Wahab was arrested some months ago. He spent some time in Yoko custody. But that's the one. Is that yeah? Some party people also went there. Okay,
right.
Baumia went to the Wuntumi one, right?
Yes.
But I have spent some time in Yoko custody. It wasn't less than 4 days. I guess it was even made. Let's just Google it up.
Okay.
So with the way he's written his statement, it doesn't seek to, answer all those things. It was a few months ago. I mean, just after the Wuntumi one. Yes, then what happened? Because I look, to be honest with you, there were times I was doing another case in Yoko. I used to go there. I saw what happened there. They used to report and all those things. I saw him there. So some of these statements he's making. Anyway, you remember when Bill Clinton was caught on this Monica Lewinsky thing? You heard what Bill Clinton said. He said this Lewinsky was lying. He had never done anything. He did it. It's a lie. You can Google down the things that Bill Clinton said, and now he described Monica Lewinsky. But eventually, what did Bill Clinton? When I say Bill Clinton, maybe for the younger ones, that's the former president of the United States of America. President from is that 93 to is that 2000? He did 2 terms, so 8 years. Yes. Right? Yeah. So, meanwhile, when eventually he was caught, he came out and then he cried and apologized. So it's normal. I mean, a lot of us, once you've not yet been proven wrong, people would like to deny. I mean, I'm not riding a moral high horse. It's a normal thing that human beings do. Once the judgment day hasn't come, everybody will swear and say, oh, it's false, it's false. Right. Forget about everything you hear in the media. It's a hype. Don't believe anything. And when the day comes, when the gavel of the judge finally falls, then we will see that the script will change. So it's a normal thing, except that this particular one, anyway, we can leave it at that.
I see. Right. Kindly hold on. My last question is coming up. It will be based on this particular audio that the Attorney General also gave. So we'll listen to him briefly, then we'll take your thoughts on it.
Okay.
But we need to do a good job. Accountability costs resources. Accountability, takes time. And so it is important that Ghanaians are patient so that we have the kind of results that I'm announcing today. Not that I will rush to court. Defense lawyers will come and raise objections, throw my case out, and then the same Ghanaians who wanted me to go to court expeditiously will now turn around and say that Ayine is an incompetent Attorney General. I was never an incompetent lawyer in private practice. I don't want to be an incompetent lawyer in public service. So I want us to take our time to do the kind of work that I'm announcing today. And I want to also let you know that I'm under no pressure from any quarters to cut any deals. Mr. President, who is my boss, has never put pressure on me. On the contrary, when I brief him, he gives me his blessing. He doesn't even express an opinion one way or the other. He says, Dominic, I've heard you. All right? The Chief of Staff has never put pressure on me to cut a deal with anybody. The Secretary to the President, Dr. Kalisus Mahama, has never put pressure on me. On the contrary, he encourages me. He says the work is stressful, but I should keep on. The Legal Counsel to the President, my former boss, has never put pressure on me to cut any deal. Offers have been made, and I have turned all of them down. I have told everybody, please go to the court. If you want a plea deal, I'm filing cases. In the Wuntumi case, offers were made to us for a plea deal. I said, no, I'm filing charges. If you want, announce your intention for a plea deal to the judge. That is now my strategy. The MPP took advantage of my saying that I'm open to to having plea deals to say, okay, that I was busy cutting deals in the office. No deal has been cut, and no deal will be cut except under the auspices of the court of competent jurisdiction. That is what I have decided, and that is what we are going to do, going forward.
Right, Counsel. So it comes to the issue of, we need the money. So if people say that, yes, thank you, you clearly have caught me, or there's evidence that I've squandered or taken away X amount, and I can bring either all or a major part of it, then I do not need to go through the entire trial process and end up in jail. So I want to cut a deal. That was the earlier position of the Attorney General. But it looks as though he's saying that they are reconsidering that, and it is based on specific case, or it be a case-by-case basis where they can pick and choose whether or not to cut a deal or not. How does this generally come to you, and where do you stand on whether we should get the money and leave the person, or get the money and still jail the person if he is found guilty, or just jail the person and then forget about the money?
The last one we don't like. We don't like to repeat. The one that we just jail the person and forget about the money. Who wants that? No. What do we benefit? It's as if then we don't even, we are not thinking about the future of our country. It's the money first. You see, even Bible says that money answereth all things, right? We can do a lot with the money. That part, I think maybe Dr. Ayeni should have hastened slowly. That part, it can give him trouble. I know, you see, the populace, a lot of people are not happy. But we didn't do a referendum on that particular question. So it may well be that those who hate it coincidentally, that the plea bargaining, etc., and the deals, coincidentally are the vociferous ones. So let's make the point again. It's possible that coincidentally those who hate cutting the deal, etc., are the vociferous ones. So they can make a lot of noise. When I say noise, I'm not insulting. I mean, like, can agitate and make a lot of advocacy, and then it would appear that it's a whole country that's against plea bargaining. Ghana is not the first to introduce plea bargaining. We've always had this. And then there are other countries, the US, UK, many other countries around the world, even Nigeria, our rivals Nigeria, they have it, etc. So the way Dr. Ayeni put it, you are saying he's saying case by case. Then maybe I didn't hear him well. I thought he says now his decision is that go to court. They will do it only through the court. I thought I heard something like that.
So that is what he said today. But in earlier press conferences, he was clear that if you want to cut a deal, government was open to that. But now he's saying that we are going to court, and it must be decided by the court or by a judge. So it's not like on a personal or office, come to my office, let's talk kind of.
So this second one, I think it's the public pressure that's moving him to say we'll do that only through the court. But if you want to do that too, some people don't want to be convicted. No, you see, the plea bargain, the ones that they put in court, the way they're doing it, sometimes in very exceptional circumstances, it's the same thing. You end up withdrawing. So look at the, what do you call it? What's the name? The Mildred Donko. And I said that one went to court. Eventually, when they found it necessary, then they withdraw. So the value is the same. So maybe, rather than saying you will no longer cut deals, go to court, you should have just perhaps emphasize, maybe you spend like 10 minutes, do a comparative study, show how plea bargaining is used in many other parts of the world. You see, the people are agitating. Sometimes some haven't found the opportunity to study the laws of other countries, even including some in the U.S. I remember I have this good friend. Well, I didn't know him, but I mean, the first time he spoke to me, he called because of plea bargaining. He was guns blazing, saying a lot of things. I said, Chief, you live in America, right? He said, yes. But America, there's plea bargaining. Then I started giving him examples. By the time we're done, then he sobered down. Right. So what we should do is to spend more time educating ourselves about plea bargaining. You can't put everybody in jail and collect their money. No. If you do, some will, as I said, you won't succeed. Right. Remember the other trials, the Japa, let's even use the famous one, Atuforsen and Japa. You see the Dubai company, Deep Sea, or what they call them, they said, we want to pay the money. Then Godfrey Dami refused it, and later we saw the reason. In the Japa tape, he said it's what? Ekufuado and Oforiata, who are pressing him to convict Japa, get Japa convicted at all costs so that there will be a by-election, blah, blah, blah. So you see the political witch hunting in the Japa tape. Right. So because of that, we refused the money. In the end, we came up short. Ghana came up short because we didn't get the money, and the accused persons were acquitted. So anybody who says we should never take any money, perhaps it's not even learning from our immediate past.
Okay.
Okay, that Japa case. There are other examples. Then the base capital, Michael Nyineku. Base capital, the same thing. What's not the same, Doctor, you were supposed to collect money, then this same public pressure, I said, no, they won't collect, they will go. They went and then Court of Appeal freed Nyineku. We didn't get one dime. So, no. I think that place, Dr. Ayuni should take it easy. It's like that. Look, you can never please all the citizens. That's why it is said that if you want to please everybody, then sell ice cream. That's a common saying. I'm sure there are some people who don't like ice cream. But the common saying is that if you want to please everybody, then sell ice cream. But once you're Attorney General, no, you can't please everybody. Okay. You look at the larger majority, and then also you look at the integrity. As long as the dues you've cut, it's not that you are cutting them personally to benefit yourself personally, but rather to advance the interests of justice. You are okay. And as I said, let's spend more time on this plea bargaining, especially compared from around the world, because you can't. There is no system where you can finish all the cases. Look, let's say this. Those oral cases, we don't have the capacity to prosecute every oral case within the 4 years.
Right.
We don't have the capacity. If we want to do that, you know how many people we have, lawyers we have to recruit, etc. We don't have the capacity. So, Dr. That place, I beg him, I think that one, maybe his kitchen cabinet, should have told him that, no, he shouldn't say that. Because you do that, a few months down the line, you'll be compelled to take other steps again, then you see that you're by that place, I think, it can give him problems in future.
Going forward.
What is wrong? The key thing is that you are doing it to advance the interests of the state.
Right.
And once you are doing it, yes, some people will not be happy, but that's the law.
Okay. Counsel, thank you so much for your thoughts and your time, as always, on these issues of national interest. I'm grateful.
Yeah,
Martin Asiedu is a private legal practitioner and shared a thought or two on the subject of the Attorney General's press conference earlier today, the Government Accountability Series. He took his turn and outlined a number of key issues that the Office of the Attorney General and all the investigative state agencies are undertaking. And so the topical ones that we have discussed today have to do with the buffer stock CEO who is currently being investigated. The AG says Friday they'll be filing proceedings in court, so we'll keep very close tabs on that. And then also the National Service Authority issue, and a number of investigations that have come to his desk are currently ongoing. So trust your most reliable news source, 3FM 92.7 and TV3 and all our sister stations, and we'll definitely be updating you or carry you along as we all follow what the investigations are looking like. Many of you are also watching us on Facebook and on YouTube where we are streaming. Some of your messages have come in so far. This one from Fusaini Mahamadou, who says, good evening, Martin, and your guest, lawyer Martin Asiedu. I'm following and listening to you live from the Greater Tamale. Keep up the good work. Thank you for staying in. Emil Smith also has just sent a greeting. Joseph Tete Tekpa has also sent a greeting and says that the law must take its course. We are following closely to see how it ends. Seth Mensah has greeted and said that the Attorney General should go straight to court. Updates to the country are important, but we want prosecution to start early. Abbas Suleiman Musa says no thief will admit to his crime. And that is in reference to the statement that was released by Abdul Hanan, who is the former CEO of the Buffer Stock Company. And then also Mohammed Muntaka says, watching you from small corner. Timbla Badzi says he's also following the conversation, and there's Joseph Tepe again. All of you are sending in your messages, and we are happy that you are part of 3FM 92.7, streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. So do keep your messages coming in, and we'll be happy to share it with the rest of the world. Let's move on to some other stories now, this time to education, because the National Council of Parent-Teacher Association has sued the Ghana Education Service and the Attorney General over new GES guidelines that seek to regulate PTA activities across senior high schools in Ghana. The association argues that the guidelines interfere with its rights and independence. Among the contested provisions is one requiring headmasters to approve withdrawal applications before PTA executives can access funds from their bank accounts, a condition the council says has no legal basis. Another provision mandates that all PTA accounts be audited externally as part of the Auditor General's periodic audit of school accounts. The council is therefore asking the Accra High Court to restrain the defendants from implementing what it describes as the purported approved guidelines for PTAs in senior high schools. Let's get some better understanding of all of this. Raphael Gibson is the General Secretary of the National Council of Parent-Teacher Associations. He's joined us for a chat on this. Mr. Gibson, good evening. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, Martin. My name is Gibson Kofi Raphael, but not Gibson.
Right. Thanks for the correction. What aspect of the Ghana Education Service guideline do you find problematic to the extent that you have gone to court?
In all aspects, we find the guidelines problematic. In the first place, thank you very much for this opportunity and also using your medium to engage our people. First of all, let me say that the GES is the creature of law and is created by the Pre-Tertiary Education Act 1049. To Pre-Tertiary Education Act 2020 Act 1049. If you read Section 8 and 9 of the Pre-Tertiary Education Act, it clearly states the mandate of the GES. And nowhere in that mandate has it given any powers to the Director General of the GES and its management team, and by extension the Ministry of Education, to do any guidelines to regulate PTAs. PTAs are private voluntary organizations, and from the day that we're born, PTAs have outlived governments, and PTAs will still continue to remain autonomous and independent. The PTAs, as we speak to you, have been registered under the company's code, and we are guided by our own constitution, and as an autonomous and independent body, we are properly regulated. All what we are saying is that the Ghana Education Service and the Ministry of Education, if they are concerned about PTA issues, they should let us sit down and look at the best way we can resolve it than to go and take unilateral decisions which are unlawful and unacceptable.
I'm tempted to believe that a lot of engagements have gone on and are still going on between the council and the Ghana Education Service. How is it that these issues have not been resolved and it has now led to the fact that you needed the courts to step in to find a solution to it?
Thank you very much, Martin. Let me state on record that when this government came with a goodwill, even way back in opposition, both this government and the then government and MPP government, I think their last days, they were all reasoning up to see that, look, whatever the former regime did in the name of PA wasn't proper, and they tried to engage us. We've had extensive engagement with them. When the government came and they were doing the National Education Forum, where we've been represented and government circles recognize us as such, we have letters and correspondences even from the presidency, inviting us on school farm initiatives, the issues that have to do with the National Education Forum. We participated at all various forums. We also had a meeting with the Director General early February this year, where we wanted to look at the new direction in which we want to collaborate with them as partners in development to see how best we can fine-tune PT operations and make sure that nobody, whether a GS staff or a parent who is a PT executive, will take undue advantage of the system and create issues on our front. We were well welcomed by the GS Director General, and when we were raising issues about the then guidelines that were done by the former administration, the Director General said, and I quote, that look, what happened was wrong, what happened was unacceptable, what happened was not anything that we had any authority to do that. And let's put that thing behind us. We will never go back to that page. These issues are squarely within your purview, but we would like to see how best we can partner with you people so that the child will not be affected when the parent has not been able to pay his PTA dues or levy in the schools. And at the secondary schools, look, the issues are not only at the secondary schools, it's also at the basic schools. And those who sack our walls from the classroom are actually your staff, but not the PTA executives, because we don't stay in the school. We just mobilize our funds voluntarily to support the educational development and things that are lacking in the school to make the school better place for our children to be able to learn in a very conducive environment. So we knew all this while the Director General asked us to give him some further documentation. We did that, and they have no receipt, and they said we'll hear from them. Only for us to be ambushed to hear that we're stabbed in the back, and they issued this guideline. The day they issued it, the next day we issued also a public statement, which was read by our outlets and other media stations to tell our people that, look, they've acted out of law, and nobody should succumb to that. We're thinking that it will end there. They never responded. They came back to say that they recognize only the school-based PTA. They don't recognize any national or regional PTAs. And we said this was quite unfortunate.
Right.
We went further to petition the president, and let me say this on record. We went further to petition the president, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, as the person who is in charge of the whole governance architecture of this country, as far as the executive arm of government is concerned. And we are happy to announce that our petition that got to the office of the president on the 8th was responded by Executive Secretary Dr. Kalisu Mahama on behalf of the president on the 9th. And let me take this opportunity to read. Petition against the reported national guidelines of various associations issued by the Ministry of Education and the Ghana Education Service. I forward for your attention and necessary action the attached petition dated 5th of October 2025 from the National President of the National Council of
Mr. Gabson,
kindly finish that part. It's very important.
Okay, so make it brief for me because I've run out of time on this.
Regarding the above mentioned subject, His Excellency the President requests that you review the correspondence and take appropriate action on the matter. This was a letter directed to the Minister for Education, Honorable Haruna Idrisu, that they should work on it, and they copied us. Since that time to today, we've not heard anything from them. And we realize that some people are just trying not to respect the president's directives, which have been copied to us. And we cannot sit down and there will be chaos in the whole system. What we are seeing today, it should be put at the back door of the Director General and the Minister of Education and his team at the ministry.
Okay.
They are the ones who are causing all this confusion in the space. And we have gone to court because we believe that we live in a country of the rule of law, not the rule of might. So the court
should step in. Right. Certainly, this is a subject that we'll be following very keenly. So thank you for speaking to us on this. Raphael Kofi Gabson is the Secretary General of the National Council of Parent-Teacher Associations. You're still listening to 3FM 92.7. And before we jump into business, let's go to that very interesting story having to do with a chief that has abdicated his seat in Kede. So the chief of Kede in the Kwaibibre municipality of the Eastern region, Osaberima Ajare Tinadu, has abdicated, technically meaning that he has left the stool that was his stool of authority. And that was after years of protracted chieftaincy disputes. The embattled chief, who has ruled for 21 years, announced his decision during a meeting with members of the royal family at the Kede Palace on Wednesday. He said he could no longer continue amid the prolonged dispute that has divided the royal family over a decade. A rival faction is reportedly preparing to install a new chief.
But I am no longer the chief of Kede again. I have abdicated my seat.
Well, so you heard the chief of Kede. Well, probably it's safe to say the immediate past former chief of Kede. And if you are watching on Facebook and on YouTube, you definitely see him in the palace wearing a black smock in the presence of some elders of the community, where he announced his decision to step down from the seat or the stool over chieftaincy disputes that has been raging for well over 21 years. And on the back of that, he has decided not to be the chief again. He has brought a ram and some bottles of schnapp to be used for the sacrifice of removal or sacrifice of abdication, where he will no longer be the chief of the area. He says that it's been quite hectic trying to resolve the chieftaincy dispute over all these years, or almost 2 decades that is, and because of that, he would no longer be the chief. And you heard the shock that was expressed by a number of the women who were gathered at the palace there. So we'll see how the coming days play out, especially now that the case is also in court. So who now becomes the next Kede chief? Would update you in subsequent bulletins. Stay with 3FM 92.7. We are taking a quick break. We'll be back with business.
Hello, Ghana. It's a new year and Bills Microcredit is here to support your dreams. If you're not working but want to start a business, don't let money stop you. With just your Ghana card, you can get a loan to turn your ideas into reality. Already running a business? Need more capital? Or are you a salary worker looking for extra funds? Bills offers fast and easy loans with no collateral, no deposit, and no SUSI savings required. Wherever you are, whatever you need, Bills makes it happen. Call Bills Microcredit today. Call 0596 920 833 or 0302 200 390 and get started. Bills is licensed and regulated by the Bank of Ghana. Bills, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
And hello there, good evening. Welcome to the business segment here on News on Hot Edition with me, Michael Obodu. Coming up, Japan International Cooperation Agency aims to boost Ghana's local rice yield by over 50% to cut imports and improve quality. Details coming up shortly. Please don't go anywhere. Thank you so much for your time. Straight into our top story now. And in a bid to reduce Ghana's reliance on rice imports, the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, says it is working with key stakeholders to boost local rice yields by more than 50%. The initiative aims not only to increase output, but also to improve grain quality to meet international standards and suit Ghanaian consumer preference. This report has the rest of the story. According to the Observatory of Economic Complexity, Ghana imported $342 million worth of rice in 2023, ranking 29th globally out of the 223 countries. That year, rice was Ghana's fifth most imported commodity out of 1,177 products tracked. JICA hopes to shift this narrative through its Ghana Rice Production Improvement Project GRIPE. Chief Advisor on Rice Cultivation under the GRIPE initiative, Nokwaki Oizumi, spoke to journalists on the sidelines of the Africa Field Innovation Center for Agricultural Technology seminar.
Yeah, actually not only seed, but also we need to introduce good agriculture practices. So we are trying to increase about 1 ton per hectare. So our baseline, the average yield was about 1.9 ton. So we want to increase the average yield to 2.9 ton or 3 ton.
JICA says it remains committed to strengthening partnerships with Ghana to advance the country's agricultural sector.
Our focus will be always in technical cooperation, so technical assistance, capacity development, together with some grant aid projects. As we have explained, we are planning to start a new grant aid project on rice seeds.
So that was Tomokazu Nagai, Project Formulation Advisor at the Japan International Cooperation Agency, ending that report. Now, away from that, the Africa Capacity Building Foundation, ACBF, is calling on African governments to prioritize effective public financial management and invest in continuous training for staff to keep pace with modern practices. PFM remains a vital yet underperforming pillar of governance across the continent, with systemic inefficiencies hampering revenue mobilization and service delivery. Despite ongoing reforms, weak accountability, politicized budgeting, and fragmented oversight continues to drain resources and limit the impact of public investment. These challenges undermine sustainable development, erode public trust, and constrain Africa's ability to finance its own growth agenda. Speaking at the opening of Ghana's National Workshop on Enhancing Leadership and Governance in Public Financial Management, ACBF Director for Programs and Impact, Adrahameen Diko, stressed the need for regular capacity building to ensure optimal performance from public servants.
Well, it's crucial because that's the heart